Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of the course. In week 2, let me get it to appear here. In week 2, we're going to be looking at the concept of elasticity and externalities. You'll notice that elasticities are very important that we can apply to our daily life, as elasticities are focused on how consumers respond to changes in the prices of goods and services. We're also going to be looking at externalities, and externalities are going to be focused on how the government intervenes when markets are not in equilibrium. Classic examples of externalities include pollution and education. Both of those two areas allows the government involvement to bring about market equilibrium. So for this week, you have two discussion forums, which require your first post by Thursday night. In your initial post, you need an in-text citation and reference to support your work, and you also need to make sure to have 2 peer responses. With the paper that's due, let's go over the paper and some of the requirements. As you notice, you're going to be reading chapters 4 through 6 in the textbook. Here's some recommended resources and articles that could be very interesting when looking at the analysis. The questions for this week are going to be looking at elasticity and what do you classify those following goods as, elastic or inelastic? And in your analysis, you want to relate it to the characteristics of the price elasticity of demand. Then we're going to be looking at externalities. You want to explain the difference between positive and negative externalities and provide an example of each. And when you provide those examples, analyze why the government has to get involved. Now, for the assignment, you're going to be hired as a consultant by Nobody State University, and you're going to be tasked with helping the university increase their total revenue. So the first thing you want to do is evaluate these 5 questions, and I recommend using subheaders in your work. So you're first going to be looking at assess a raise in tuition and if it's necessarily result in more revenue. So if they raise tuition, does that mean more people will go to the school? So think outside the box on that one. The next question, describe the conditions under which revenue will rise, fall, or remain the same. This is dealing with elasticity. So if we're selling an elastic good, what will happen in those scenarios? And if we're selling an inelastic good, what will happen in those scenarios? In the explanation of NSU, you want to look at the relationship between increased revenue and students enrolling at NSU, despite the higher tuition and lost revenue. What will this mean if they're experiencing a loss in revenue or enrollments if they raise tuition? Will that be a challenge for them to figure out? And the other thing is, we're going to be looking at the price elasticity of negative 1.2. What type of good is that? Is it an elastic good or is it an inelastic good? And then once you have that number, you want to consult with the president to outline what this number means. And you want to evaluate that number on the basis of, okay, this good is elastic or inelastic, and here are the implications of that. Make sure in your paper that you have an APA formatted running header, title page, in-text citation, and reference page. And if you need any help or if you want me to pre-grade your work, please let me know. But I look forward to your effort.